I thought I played the music. We are live. I was talking to Brent and Stacy and not the Tya practice group. My apologies. We are live now. Let's start over. Oh, such fun we have. So David's not here today. As you can see, you get myself, Kerry. I am work with David, and I'm a Tya guide, and I'm a Tyaist, and I'm with our lead coach, Stacy, and our Tya guide, Brent. We get to work together every day, and it has been just absolutely fabulous. So I was just going to share a little bit with you all my weekend discovery. So practicing Tya mindset for several years now, I am just elated, full of joy, peace, clarity, excitement every morning to see what the day is going to bring. And I was sharing with Deborah Wilson that I always think that it just couldn't get any better. I couldn't get any happier. I couldn't be more joyful. And I'm discovering that I am. There is no ceiling, and it just dawned on me, there's no level of joy that you feel in your heart. There's no level of love. You can't describe how much love fills your heart. It's just a feeling, it's a knowing. And so waking up every day to loving this experience that I get to be on earth at this time with all this different shakeup and 3D matrix and all the labels that they give it. And, it's through the pandemic and all these experiences that I get to experience. And the coolest part is I get to choose how I experience it and how I view it. And with the help of all my Tya community, everyone, even all of you on Facebook, help me to just have a little bit of a different view when you write something or share something or post something. And so this weekend and catching up on Facebook and with some of my lovely Tya community friends, I realized sometimes I am so excited and I'm moving so fast that I drop just a little bit down into that old hammer mode, get it done, get it done. And I realized if I will just take a moment, a very short moment, take a deep breath and lean back and allow and create some space just for that moment, I immediately feel my own personal connection with the stream. Immediately. It's been so magical where when I was learning the practice, I would, have to sit a little bit and kind of, sometimes I'd be looking for it and then I couldn't find it. And then the frustration kicks in. But now it's like picking up the phone and knowing you can connect to your best friend or your family. I just have to settle myself into that space of allowing. And it's only for a brief moment. And it happens. And then I'm so filled with love and joy. And it's like, okay, and then I can see clearer what I want to be inspired to do, or what I want to create, or really honing in on listening. My dear best friend was visiting me for the last couple of weeks, and I was so excited, and we had so much to say to each other that I realized I wasn't fully listening. So I started to do my deep breathing, leaning back and allowing the space to hear her story before I jumped in with my story or what I had to say. And, it was out of love and excitement, but it changed the dynamics of our communication. And it gave her space to be heard and listened to. So that was my discovery this weekend, which I feel, as I've always said, using the Tya tools, connecting with my stream, centering myself, allows me to be a better me. It allows me to be a better friend, a better coach, a better, not that I coach, but guide, and just someone who loves, my children. We have a better relationship. So that's my little story. And then Stacy and Brent jump in.
As we have doggies celebrating in the background.
Go ahead,
Brent,
Stacy, if you like.
go ahead. Okay. Well, as you can see by the wreckage behind me, I'm in the process of moving, so things are crazy at my house. And I've, in this past week particularly, have really leaned heavily on my Tya community. Yeah, I'm one of the first people to take boot camp and graduate and work my way into the business and basically end up as a coach, which is wonderful. I love my job. I love coaching people. But boy, and Kerry's laughing like she doesn't coach. She coaches me at times because we all need reminders that even though we have these tools right in our back pocket, sometimes we forget to use them. So it's so beautiful to have this community. And this is my favorite part about being a Tyist, if you want to call us that, is that I get to reach out to all these beautiful, lovely people that I've worked with for years and really enjoyed sharing not only the stream's messages, but all the tools that we get to use to level up, to experience more joy, to realize that when I dip down a bit, like Kerry was saying, going down my spiral, yeah, don't zoom in on my room. That it's okay, that none of us judge each other at all. That main message that the stream says over and over and over, and I don't think I'll ever tire of hearing it because I need to be reminded constantly. Remove fear and judgment. Remove fear and judgment and see what shows up next. And it is magical, you guys. I get these beautiful people. I can be vulnerable and open about things and feel heard. Thank you for bringing that up too, Kerry. I was talking to somebody else just recently about how we have these amazing supercomputers in our heads. And if we're not tending to them, they have a tendency to run off. And they have so much data and so much experience from our lives that they want to fill in all the gaps before somebody's had an opportunity to fully complete their sentence, before you've had an opportunity to breathe and stop for a second. And in that silence, maybe have an even more amazing response that's given to you by your higher self, by the stream, your stream, whatever you want to call it, the divine. That is where we connect with each other. And that's in a nutshell why I Tya.
I love that, Stacy. Oh my gosh, because it was interesting because I just had a thought left my brain. A conversation with Erica Mitchell about that very same thing about feeling like the world's speeding up. So, and then I feel like my brain sometimes is so super fast.
Yeah.
That I'm squirrel, dog barking, and I'm all over the map. And when I am with people, I want to be fully focused. I want them to feel heard. And never my intention to hurt their feelings or step on their story, but we do it. We're human, and it happens. And so that was a valid, beautiful point to bring up. So thank you, Stacy. Go, Brent. Tell us what's going on with you?
Well, I feel I have the best job in Tya. Because my role with David Strickle Media is I have a true privilege to talk privately, intimately, face-to-face online with people that are curious about joining boot camp, learning about it, possibly joining, but just, I think, exploring going deeper into the Tya walk by, we provide the Tya tools pretty freely on our website, and we have on the Facebook group and now on Patreon. And we really haven't, made an effort to hide anything. David has always said we provide all of our information in the Facebook group. But the role that boot camp plays is it, and this is the way that I explain it to folks that I talk with online one on one. The boot camp experience is a transformational exercise that allows a student to receive professional instruction on the Taya tools, learning what they are, understanding what their role is, learning and practicing how to use them in going through your transformation. And not only the Taya tools, but also the boot camp experience provides the environment for a person to create themselves new, write a new code for themselves, start a fresh, new, clean life mentally and emotionally, and remove the uh, very difficult emotional and mental blocks that um, habitual thoughts, habitual feelings, habitual emotions that we all still have, and some are allowing them to control your life instead of you controlling your life. So, that's the type of conversation that I have with folks that join me on a discovery call. But for our show today, what I want to focus on, and my comments are going to highlight a comment that I always make, that every person that goes through boot camp, nobody fails. You can't fail. We don't let you leave until you're ready. Um, But everybody that comes out of boot camp leaves and presents a unique perspective with the living of their life, on living life, and the way that they perform their daily dance with Source, and living in the environment from the benefit of using the Taya tools, creating a new code and writing a new life for your life where you are pursuing your dreams. Okay? That's part of the point of the Taya path, is to pursue your dreams without any limitations or abundance blocks. So, the information that I want to focus on is, if you, as someone who has not gone through boot camp, but may have followed Taya for 1 or 2 or 3 years, if you are a spiritual seeker and the stream's message resonates with you, it's my opinion, from seeing 150 people graduate boot camp, you truly aren't going to be able to pursue your dreams and the next lesson that you're supposed to learn in this life until you address all of the negative feelings, the negative thoughts, the regrets, the bad memories, the bad feelings, everything that is in front of your mind that is directing your daily path. All of the you can't, you aren't, you won't, you'll never, what about this and what about that? The stream has chosen to provide these Taya tools specifically from David to help all of us grow emotionally and spiritually. And very simply, these Taya tools are based on universal truths and universal laws that this world we're living in operates. So I've always been a person that has just had it in me to dig and search and pursue and go after, not only to create, but to learn. learning is one of my top pleasures, and learning about the world that we're in, and learning about source and everything around us. If you're a person that is genuinely pursuing any form of success, whether it's financial abundance, whether it's eliminating fear from your life, eliminating anxiety where it doesn't control your life, anything negative, you absolutely, it's time to remove the blocks that you've been living with and struggling with and dealing with in order for you to make progress. Um, we didn't necessarily create these blocks in our minds, but they absolutely sabotage our efforts to, well, to be happier and to pursue the life of chasing our dreams and happiness that we want to live. So, if you're on our lesson today, if you're hearing our message, of course, I know that Stacy and Carrie and I are going to say it's no accident that you're here, that we are here bringing this information to you together at the same time. If it resonates with you, it's your time to learn your next lesson. If you have sabotaging thoughts that are preventing you from having the courage and even just the decision to explore the next little bit that's in front of you, it's time to do that. You don't have to join boot camp to receive the freedom that the Tya Tools provides. Boot camp is a way to allow yourself to be transformed into a mindset and a life improvement, a condition of life that you probably can't even imagine right now.
Yeah.
Stacy and Carrie and myself are going to say, and I say it on every call, we are living a life not only that we couldn't have imagined, we're living a life that we had no idea existed or could exist
Mm-hmm.
1 or 2 or 3 years ago before we dealt with our self sabotaging blocks.
Yeah, so that's a
So,
really topic to dive into a little more too.
okay,
Kind
go
of what
ahead.
I was talking about at the beginning, where we've got these supercomputers at our disposal. They're right housed inside, and how they like to run amok. And I love what you were saying about how we can reverse or start to be conscious of the habitual thinking that leads us down the path of I can't, I never. So, what are the tools that we use in Taya to start to identify those things? You guys, come on.
All right, I'm going to say during my boot camp experience,
Uh-huh.
by going through the lessons and the modules and the exercises, by living them at my own pace. You know, you're not on a locked in time frame in boot camp, but I learned to recognize those thoughts, feelings, emotions. I know I had 2 or 3 going in, and they were causing great depression and a feeling of failure and lack of self-confidence on my part. Okay, I learned how to detune those and either eliminate, remove them, or push them off to the side, because there may be 1 or 2 that keeps popping up once in a while, but I it doesn't control my life. But when I peeled those layers off, I really honestly was very surprised to know, oh, there's more.
Yeah, I think that's the
Okay.
amazing part. And what I always love to speak to when we come on to these Taya Talks and any podcast, or even when I do a radio show, is to really bring it back down to 101. Because we
Mhm.
want to attract our audience and let them have that first little step. Like, what is that step for you? For me, it was tracking my spiral. That was super, super, super indicative of where I was emotionally on the spiral, whether it was up or down. That told me where my vibe was. Was I feeling good? Was I feeling bad? And that simple exercise of watching where you are on a day-to-day basis, what kind of external stimulation you're receiving, and what happens to your vibe based on that external stimulation. It's like a little puzzle. You walk that, you figure that step out, and then that step leads you to, okay, well, if I'm consistently reacting to stimuli from my husband that pisses me off, there's something here to unravel. So if we were to tune what's happening with my husband, it's not him. God bless him. It's not him. It's me. Okay. It's me. I'm the one who's reacting to his input, perceiving it as possibly negative. And more often than not, it's because of my past experiences that I may or may not have consciously said, oh, that happened. That person wronged me. I don't trust them. Never, ever again will that happen to me, right? We've been talking about this a lot.
Yes.
That mental block in, right?
Yes, I was just going to say that. And Stacey, I love that you brought this up because I had to take the spiral even deeper within myself because I was bypassing.
Yeah.
I was always stuffing my feelings so far down that I had big struggle when I started with identifying my thought or anger or whatever emotion popped up with what was I really feeling.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes anger was my first thing, but I would go from not being angry at all, taking it in, stuffing it down, and then blowing up.
Yeah.
And I didn't like when I would blow up. Yeah. The crazy woman would come out. But I never associated that anger built up inside of me had to come out some way, but that it was tied to feelings. It was tied to being hurt. It was tied to being sad, upset with myself, self-judgment. There were so many feelings tied to that I had to, sorry.
Okay.
Luna.
But yes, I was just having a conversation with one of our boot camp students yesterday, and she was sharing the same thing, the progress that she's made, even though she's 3/4 of the way through boot camp, that, she's constantly, and it is a practice, you guys. And it's not like, oh, dive into boot camp and you'll fix everything. No, these tools are available here. We're showing you right now how to use them. If you consistently use them in a regular way, every single day of your life. And I love what you said, Brent, daily dance with source. It's beautiful, but that's the truth. If we get into that space of allowing ourselves to see how we are acting as a little mirror of our higher self, our source self, our divine aspect, our soul, if you want to call it, then you get a chance to see how you can unravel. You can work it backwards. And she was saying the same thing. She was generally a happy, lovely person, and something would trigger and she'd have these explosions of anger. And until she had an opportunity to really go back and look at the hurt that she had received as a child, perceived that it was done to her, against her. Yes. Yeah. Then she was able to go, oh, and she's watching all of the relationships in her world shift. Because she has shifted. She takes time to listen. She no longer attacks somebody. She goes in and says, something's going on here. Let me take a minute. Assesses the situation, can grasp more fully what's really happening so that she can respond in a more conscious manner. And really, isn't that really what we want from other people? Not only ourselves, but from other people. And I, like her, really like myself better this way. I like who I am now.
I was just going to say, because I don't think anyone likes themselves when they're an angry, hot mess.
No.
And say things that we're a different person.
Yeah.
And then I love Katerina once was saying, and I think she said it live, like you're so angry, you just vomit this anger words all over. You go home and the people that you vomited on are left with that on them. That's awful. And then I think, like you said, I don't want to ever be that. So in finding out what was I really feeling, I can now verbalize, wow, that made me really sad. Can we talk about that? Because oftentimes, as you said, I think there's many of us like that I'm a relatively happy-go-lucky person, but
Yeah.
it would take me, I had a long fuse, but boy, when it was like dynamite. I would just be, I don't even know who that person is anymore because I have detuned her.
No, me too. And it's like, wow.
And it is lovely to have these interactions with other people when you are in that space to view it from a new perspective, to look back at those relationships. Brilliant, Stacey. Thank you for sharing that. And again, I am now going to use that, Brent, dance with source, daily dance.
Beautiful. I love that. Oh,
that's great.
This is a great segue too into what Brent and you were talking about, that daily aspect of joy, right? Mm-hmm. It's not outside of us. It's not your new iPhone. It's not the car in the driveway. It's not the house that you live in or choose to live in or want to live in. Or when you finally get that big giant mansion, that everything drops away and joy is there. No, it's not. It's in here. It's inside us. Like we were sharing, when we finally came to a space where we were no longer unhappy with the way we presented ourselves in communication in relation to other people. We liked how we show up. I like who I am when I'm on Tya Talk with you guys. I love that. I feel like, oh, I got all this good juice flowing through me. It feels amazing. This is where my joy lies. My joy lies in being able to have a conversation with somebody when I'm triggered. I love what Janine posted here. The biggest transgressor is her son. And she starts to notice physical stuff come up for her. And that's a beautiful example, such clarity that she's stuffing, that she's trying to control, that she is, and God bless you, Janine. I know it's very hard to watch our children unravel in front of us. And it's super empowering to have what I love to refer to as engaged detachment, where you step back, you allow them to experience their life, to have their personal bubble. But it is, girlfriend, reach out to me. Let's talk more.
There's your Tya community.
Yes.
Okay? And that's another aspect about our path that I emphasize when I'm talking to new folks. The people that are in our Tya Facebook group and in our team, and the people that we talk with, like Janine and Sam and everybody and Anne Marie, that's my family. And I don't know that I really want to say spirit family, but I've never been able to talk to anybody else about these sort of things before I got into Tya.
Okay? Yeah. Yep. I love that, Brent. And what's really interesting is that I was talking to one of our newer boot camp students, and he was struggling with just the basis of understanding the first elements of transgressor identification. And how do you know this works? And I said, you got to connect with other people in your immediate boot camp student group, in the community, with the coaches, with your mentor. Listen to the podcast, because yes, each and every one of you is a unique and individual expression of source, but the problems that you're experiencing as a human are not unique. I hate to break it to you. We all have the same problems. We all have negative voices. We all have I will never walls.
Right.
It's not a shame. It's not a guilty thing. It's not a, oh my God, you're so bad. It's let yourself off the hook with my favorite phrase, and I will say it a million times. It seemed like a good idea at the time.
Oh, did I say that a lot in my 20s?
I say that now looking back at my 20s.
Ooh. Yes. It did seem like a good idea at the time.
It wasn't a great idea at the time, but as we get older, as we progress and evolve, maybe it wasn't such a good. Yeah, well, it served me to learn a specific lesson to create contrast, so I can get really clear what I discern.
Right. No judgment.
There is no judgment.
It was just an experience. No
Exactly.
judgment. It was surprising. It was surprising to me during my boot camp experience. I've always felt like I can do it myself. So I started working on my modules and do the whole thing. And then we would have our community Zoom meeting one day a week. And I didn't expect to get anything out of it. It became the most nutritious or nourishing and instructive part of the course for me, because every person that was in the group, all right, they may be struggling with the same thing that I'm struggling with, but they process it different.
Yeah.
And when they detangle or untangle or detune something, and they say what they did and they lay it on me, it's like I would have never thought that. I would have never known that.
Mhm.
And I still, that's part of the beauty of our community, with the way that we can communicate with each other is, man, the appreciation that some people have for life, like Leslie,
Mhm.
and for learning the way Deborah does, and for nature. I don't have that natural appreciation, but they bring it into me.
Yeah. Yes. I love that. I think over the course of my life, historically, I've thought external objectification, a viewpoint that's not mine, from like counselors, girlfriends, you know, and like you're saying, that objective viewpoint that we get from the people in our boot camp class, in our
Yeah.
community, is really valuable. We teach you tools as well to foster that own objective viewpoint for yourself. We talk about zooming out, right, Kerry?
Yes, I was just gonna say, and one thing I love that Brent brought to light today is the fact that we all can discuss, and it feels like a safe space. I know no matter
Absolutely.
what I tell you, or if I'm up my spiral, down my spiral, having a crazy spin out moment, I know that I can bring it to you without judgment, to my community without judgment, and that you will bring a different perspective in a very kind way to say, yeah, I see you. I see you're having, you're viewing this way. And Stacy, your curious mind, she's always why and curious. And I remember when I first started and met you, sometimes that was a trigger for me because I'd be like, I don't know why. Why is she asking me why? I don't even know. But it helped me to explore that because the perfectionist in me always wants to have an answer to a question. And when you would say why, and I'd be like, I don't know. And then I realized that would trigger and I'd have to look into that. But now, oh my gosh, I love it. And I do it with myself.
Yay.
When I'll be like, what would Stacy say? She'd say, well, why? And what about this? And look at it from this view. Turn this way. Have you seen it from the top, from the bottom? And I love it because I can sit with that curiosity that, like Brent said, that I probably didn't naturally have, but
Yeah.
Stacy brought it to me where I would be like, oh, I never thought of it that way. And I love that. I love that about our community, and that each person brings a whole new perspective, a whole new way to look at things. It's so lovely because it
Yeah.
really does enrich my life and expand my life as well. And I feel like you said, it's so nourishing, such food for my soul. It's so wonderful.
I mean, the aspect of being curious is really childlike, and it's playful. So we have these amazing lives in front of us. We really get to choose how we want to live them. We
Right.
choose. Yes, there's a lot of external circumstances, but again, it goes back to how you choose to react to things, how you perceive it. Could you perceive it as something horrible? I was having a nice little spin out myself this weekend about moving and the stresses of dealing with all the logistics. And Kerry reminded me, well, make it fun. Where's the humor? And I had to sit back and look at how ridiculous I was in trying to control all of these external circumstances. Like I was God, and I am God in my own world, right? But I'm not God to everybody else's world. The movers, possible tenants, all that. And it did. It made me laugh. It made me realize, oh God, here I go again. I'm just trying to be perfectionist. And that's a huge piece I think just about everybody on the planet has. How about you, Brent? Are you a perfectionist too?
Oh man. Geez. Something that, when it's time to learn something, do you ever notice that it kind of comes up repeatedly and repeatedly?
Yes.
Over the last week, I think the thought that our group, our path teaches you to get out of your own way. Oh man, that has just come up daily over the last week. And not sure where it first came from, but I think that's my lesson of the week is
Mm.
get out of your own way. And it's almost, I feel like, oh golly, how stupid am I? When I, you know, when I hammer, when I need, when I become impatient with something that I want to happen and it doesn't, because, you
Mhm.
know, Carrie is a person that is whatever happens, happens. Just I'm gonna expect the best, okay? And I don't compute that way. I am a creator, and I have peace with that mindset. And I when I think of creating, I can just feel the energy begin to flow. So it's like, okay, I'm going to tap into that and stay focused on creating. But then there have been times when I have focused so much on creating or getting to a particular development that I'm pushed up against the windshield and my face is mashed flat and I'm like, I'm miserable. Why am I miserable? Well, because you're hammering and you're pushing and you've created need in your enjoyment of creating. So it's like, all right, Carrie, sit back, and Stacy, sit back, take a pause,
Yeah.
let things flow.
I
So
love that visual though, being smacked up against the
Yeah.
windshield. There's no
that's exactly what it feels like, and it's miserable.
I
yeah,
love it. I love it because
okay.
that's exactly who I used to be.
Mhm.
I would make lists and goal set and achieve and dates and thought I was in creative mode because I do love to create. I
Right.
write books. I do art. I'm always excited to create and learn something new and figure out all the pieces of the puzzle so that I can put them together and make this lovely picture of what my life looks like and what I want to create in it. But what I found was the same thing, Brent. There was such a fine line for me between hammering and creating. So when I started just creating it and then allowing the space for the best outcome possible to show up,
Mhm.
and that's the letting go piece for me. So, yes, I still create, I still write goals, but I don't write them so specific, so tightly,
Mhm.
because what I found is if I said it's XYZ is going to happen by the end of the month, and the end of the month came and XYZ didn't happen, even if X and Y happened, I'm like, where's the Z? Where is it?
Right.
And right there, you've created the static, and it's not going to come because you're saying, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? And the universe is saying, yes, where is it? Where is it?
Giving you exactly what you're asking for. Oh, holy moly. You mean that's how it works?
That's how it works. It's so amazing. So now I switched best possible outcome to best outcome possible so I can bop it. That's favorite toy. My kids had that toy. You bopped it, and I bop it, and I send it out. And when it shows up, it shows up. And more times than not, way sooner than I ever anticipated, and better than I ever thought I could create. So thanks, Brent. I'm going to picture myself against the windshield when I get into hammer mode.
You're all crunched up with no space. It's like, what the hell? How did I get here? Right?
Exactly.
I love what Sam wrote. Don't just get it done. Have some fun. That's awesome. I love that, Sam. And that's an interesting one, like hammering versus creating. Again, if we were to, let's dial this all the way back to 101.
Right.
What tools do we use in Tya to start to become aware of that?
Oh boy. One of the primary tools, Stacy, is the vibrational spiral.
Mm-hmm.
And once we identify the vibrational spiral, what it is and how it works, and when we begin to rise to neutral and then a little above neutral, and we enjoy what that feels like, we really become sensitive to what the negative feelings are.
Yes.
So that's how I identify it. Is you just feel yucky. You feel good.
I love that technical term, yucky. I
Yep.
agree with you. And I think as adults, we like try to put these really fancy terms on stuff. And it really is that simple. I felt really ick. You know, I felt
Exactly.
stuck. I felt like slimy even sometimes. When you're all in your own muck of, it has to be this one.
Boy.
It's an evil little spot, isn't it? Hammering for me, when I start to hammer, it shows up instantaneously in my world. Because I have stepped back and allow creation to happen. And it is trust and allowing of your abundance, of your connection with source of the divine. And so when I cut that off, because that truly is what we're doing by hammering, it should be a saw instead of a hammer, don't you think? We seem to sever the connection with our source that's flowing through us by just picking up the hammer, and then instantaneously, I want to cuss here, but I shouldn't. Stuff starts to drop, to blow up in front of me. The things that were going smoothly all of a sudden just go into the toilet. And I'm like, oh my God, wait a second, what just happened here? Well, hello. Try another tool in the toolbox, please. Right? So what's the next tool I go to is 3 to 5 things to appreciate. That's one of my favorite go-tos. You know, just if you can sit in your room and say, hey, look out your window. What do I appreciate? Oh, I appreciate the trees. I appreciate the flower, that gorgeous breeze that's running through my she shed of a mess right now. It's perfect. It's wonderful.
Exactly.
I love that. Yeah, I was just going to say I love that. And when I am walking in the mornings, you don't even have to verbalize it. I just stand and I just let the sunshine and the blue skies and I just stand there for a minute and just feel that, because as I said, for me, feelings were something I struggled with identifying them. So now I feel that wash over me. And now I understand that's the feeling of appreciation. So then I can verbalize it. Oh, that warm that sun feels so warm on my body. And the flowers are blooming. And then I walk over and I smell them and I'm like, oh, and just in the full on appreciation of what this beautiful world really does show us. So I love that, Stacy. You know, I'm a nature girl. So not as much as you. I like to hike, but go home to my nice bed that I appreciate and love more than anything. But, you know, I do enjoy your hiking trips and hearing about them.
Yeah.
Because I do so love nature. And we all live on this planet. So even if you're in a city, there's still a sunshine and a blue sky. And I'm sure there's a tree somewhere and a plant somewhere, or, you know, that you can appreciate. And I think that is the simplest way to find that 3 to 5. And that's beautiful. The other thing I love is I always loved that because I could count it on my hand.
Simple. Keep it
Simple. Yeah. My hand was there, and I'm like, okay,
Exactly.
appreciate that I can count them on my hand. That's one.
Oh my fingers. Well, and it's interesting. Again, another conversation I was having earlier this week with a newer boot camp student who is really struggling with like feeling really depressed and being really sad and not having a connection to their feelings. And that's the first place I went to. Well, just appreciate. It can be the little tiniest thing possible. Oh my God, what a great cup of coffee. Thank you, universe, for this awesome cup of coffee. I use that phrase a lot. Thank you, universe. May I please have some more? Because if I'm in appreciation, I'm flowing that vibe outward. It's bound to come back to me, right? The universe gives us exactly what we send it. I've got my husband now doing the same thing. We find a quarter on the ground. Thank you, universe. May I please have some more? Right? So great to see him do that. It's so funny. And it is a game. Life should be fun. That's where we find joy. We find joy within ourselves, with nature, with our animals, with our friends and family. Let's make more fun just to have more joy. Yeah, bring it up. Bring it up. Yes. Yes.
Good.
I'm even appreciating Luna barking and during the live show.
Well, you have Luna.
I do.
You can appreciate having Luna.
Yes. She always alerts me to anything that moves outside. Even if it's a little tiny gecko, she's barking at it. So
geckos, that's so cute.
like, thank you for letting me know. Yeah, she's getting used to us. We moved to a new environment, so she's getting used to it, and she does. I'll tell you, that's one thing I can always appreciate is my lovely fur babies. And if you have fur babies out in Thailand, I always say just sit with a fur baby for a minute. They live in this mindset. They're not worried about how they look or what they're doing. They know you're going to put food on the table. They don't even think about it. And they just live in the moment in full on joy, and always happy to see you when you come home, even if you just left for 2 minutes
or less. Yes.
or less.
My fur buddy just decided to walk in as soon as you started appreciating fur creatures. I love it. Hey, buddy, what are you doing? Well, and that's the other thing. Like, the world's pretty scary right now. We have war going on not very far away from us if we think about it.
Right.
It is our planet. Everybody is inhabiting it. It does feel sometimes like it's in the neighborhood to me. Inflation, gas prices, crazy real estate prices. People have lost their jobs. People are gaining jobs. COVID's still looming. So many things to worry and be afraid about. But there's also still so many things to enjoy. So many things to appreciate. So many things to love in your daily existence. Every single moment of your day. There's a guy on TikTok that I follow, and that's the only thing he does. Hey, you're here with me right now.
Yep.
Take a deep breath. And I love his reminder. And I would remind the same thing of you. When you notice that you start to get upset, when you notice that you start getting cranked up about something, I'm afraid stop and just breathe. When you take a deep breath, you feel your butt on the chair, breathing into your belly. You can't be anywhere but right here, right now.
Right.
And then look around. Oh yeah, the sun's out. Oh, the birds are singing. The flowers are blooming. All is well. Yeah.
That's very nice. That's a good reminder to that's a connection to source, actually.
There I go dancing again, eh?
Yeah. When you go back to when you go back to nature and the things that were created for us in this world, that's your connection to part of your connection to source.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And even the stuff that, we think we take for granted, like I got a nice sweater on. It's a little chilly out. Mm-hmm. I got a nice sweater on. And I love soft clothes, cashmere. I'm rather addicted to it. Cotton clothes, anything that feels good on me, then I will gravitate towards that. So even just the feeling of nice clothing on your skin doesn't have to be fancy. It could be a lovely bathrobe with terry cloth. I still love a great terry cloth robe. Or a hot shower. Who doesn't love a hot shower?
Oh, I love that, Stacey. Yeah, just the simple things really, as you said, bring such comfort and joy. I remember in January, I went through a bout of illness and laying on the couch and definitely sinking down into feeling sorry for myself a little bit, and knew that I needed to stop a moment and breathe and find things to appreciate. And one was this furry blanket that I have. And it just felt so good. Like you said, it just felt so good, like a hug on my skin. And then I was holding it and I remember thinking, I can appreciate that my heart is beating, that I'm right here, right now, that I can take a breath, even though I felt awful and I was not feeling well, I could still take a breath. I could still feel my heartbeat. I could appreciate the blanket and the pillow and the couch that I was laying on. So I love that, because sometimes I think we forget those simple things.
Yeah.
And Stacey, when you were saying that, just saying that, your words, I felt that wave of love just wash over me like a big hug.
Yeah.
And so I hope that everyone listening out in our Tya community today feels that love and hugs and warmth from all of us, because we intend for you, no matter what your journey looks like, no matter what you're experiencing today. We see you, we hear you, we love you. You have this community. You can reach out if you're feeling alone, if you're feeling afraid. Type it in the chat. There's always somebody on. And just, I need someone to listen to me. Yeah, even if it's just help. or an exclamation point, or I don't even know what I'm feeling right now. Can someone talk to me, and reach out to your community. We have a lovely community. Gosh, I don't even know our numbers anymore. I think we're 4,000, 5,000 people.
Yeah.
Right.
Around
There's
the world,
always somebody on, right?
around the world, all time zones,
Yes.
any time of day. It's amazing. And I love what you were saying too, is you noticed how when you start to just appreciate the little things, it kind of builds momentum, causes a bit of a domino effect or chain reaction, and you just get caught up in that lovely feeling. Because really, we just want to feel good, right?
Yep.
Really basic. It doesn't it's impossible to jump from not feeling good at all to, whoa, I feel amazing all the time. You have to work your way up. You got to learn to crawl before you can walk, before you can ride a bike, right? And you just take it slow and just keep doing it and just keep doing it and just keep doing it every single day. Don't stop. It's like breathing. We know how to breathe. We don't have to remind ourselves. Maybe sometimes after. Heartbeats. That I don't have to remind at all, which is glorious. It's one thing I don't have to think about. But remind yourself, what's good right now? What can I appreciate? What's good right now? What can I appreciate? What feels good right now? And hi, Sandra. I'm so excited. I was on Sandra and Ellen's radio show. Oh, my God, they're fun.
I know. I love their show. Thank you for joining us. They are so much fun.
And they love Tya and the Stream of David. So thank you so much for being part of our extended community.
Yes. Thank you so much. And we have a lot of comments. I didn't see too many questions.
Right.
There was an interesting one that scrolled up, and it's probably a hot topic, but I'm going to approach it anyways because I'm very curious. There was a woman named, you know me,
That's exactly the direction I was going because
Deborah says, "Why does David pretend to become someone else rather than who he really is?" That's so interesting that you're perceiving it that way.
I thought so too.
So if we are source at the core of who we are, the authenticness of ourselves is source.
Okay.
Why would you perceive him as being anything different? There is a necessity in order to define the information that's coming through in labeling it, right? We live in a 3D reality. So everybody likes their labels. If you've watched David at all from the beginning of his channelings to where he is now, you will notice that the gap that was created by that label is narrowing and narrowing and narrowing.
Okay.
So he's not pretending anything. He's simply illustrating a point by labeling, this is David, this is the stream.
Mm-hmm.
That's my perception of it and my understanding of it. Do you guys have a different take on that?
I don't. It's interesting. Well, of course, that's the channeling process, and I believe that the change in David's mannerisms that's simply due to his focus on being in tune with the information that's coming to him. That's what he has to do to open and get himself out of the way so that the focus is information to come to him, and he's concentrating on translating the information, because the words don't come to him, the feeling comes to him. And he has worked with the information from source, the feeling from source, for so long that he has been able to translate it accurately as he does. So I simply think it's just concentration.
That's awesome. I love your reoccurring theme of getting the heck out of your own way.
Yep. See, it's where I am this week.
I got the same message. So I think we're all on the same.
I love that too, because that's exactly what David has taught himself to do, to step back and allow it to be as pure from the stream and not from his human ego perspective. Mm-hmm. But I'm just curious. Stacy's opened the Pandora's curiosity box with me. So I just am curious as to what, like, I would like more clarity. Pretend to become someone else.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the channeling, or are you talking about something else? Because I just, that's a very curious comment and perspective. And I would like to know more. I'm very interested in someone's viewpoint, because I personally have only found David to be as open and raw and honest and authentic as any human being I've ever met, which is what drew me to him long ago, when I thought it just spoke to my soul I knew I was missing something in my world, in my spiritual journey. And I was just like, I need to know more. I need to know more. So I started podcast consuming and, getting on Tya's, the Facebook group, and just consuming it, because it just spoke. It was food for my soul. And so it's just interesting. I love that you brought that up, because I was just going to say the same thing, Stacy, when you said it, the curious mind.
Interesting thing too was, like, going back to Brent's theme of getting out of your own way. In order for us humans, me, you, to get closer to source, we do have to get her out of our own ways.
Yep.
So we do have to pretend that maybe we're something else. Pretend we've gone somewhere else. Pretend that that voice in our head that is negative, that constantly gives us feedback, that our brain wants to fill in all that stuff. We can pretend that doesn't exist even for a little while in order to allow our individual connection to source to drop in.
Right.
I like that.
Mhm.
Because if you think, I love that, because pretending is using our imagination,
Right.
which the stream always tells us that's where we are the most creative.
Mhm, mhm.
Imagination is what sparks creation. When you imagine it, you've created it, and then it comes to fruition if you allow it. It
Right.
shows up if you allow it. So yeah, pretending, I love that. I should pretend. I think I will play with pretending more. I was very good at that when I was young.
Me too. You're right. I think that should be let go of the wheel. I keep getting let go. So I was making a comment earlier in the week that I should I want somebody else to drive. Be careful what you ask for, because then I kept getting them every time I was trying to control things. I kept getting the let go, the very loud voice, let go. It's like, oh, sorry, I'm trying to drive from the back seat again, but I'll just pretend I can't reach the front seat.
There you go.
There's a plate glass, right?
Your arms don't reach that far, Susie.
I'm trying to go like, right, Fred?
Yeah, love it. My arms don't reach that far from the back. And then I can't plant my face on the windshield. Like Brent said, I love that. Oh my gosh, that picture in my mind is lovely.
We've had way too much fun today.
Yes, I was just going to say, of course, we ran over time. We could talk to each other all day, and we get to, because we get to work together, and that's such a blessing. I still keep saying I'm going to start calling it playing, because it is so much fun to play Tya, and it's not work. So thank you for all that joined us. Brent, thank you for bringing your beautiful viewpoint, and Stacy, always your viewpoint. I feel like we have gone around the moon and back, and what a lovely trip that was. So thank you. And thank you to all our Facebook friends.
Yes.
Yep.
We will see you soon.
Mhm.
And be sure to join. David will be back for Thursday, Claim Your Power Hour. And I get to host for our lovely Debbie G is out this week. So sending you love and hugs, Debbie. We miss you and hope you're back soon. And I get to step in. I hope I can be as exciting and cute as she is. Do my best. She always brings such a lovely vibe.
You can pretend to be Debbie G. Make sure you put a braid in your hair. She always has the nice braid.
Oh yeah, I'll channel my Debbie G.
Yes.
I love it. I love her too. Thank you all.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye.